All right, today we are cracking open something huge, a cosmic blueprint, really. We're diving straight into the first chapter of Ephesians. And this letter, wow, it lays out a plan that stretches from before time even began all the way into eternity. So let's get right into it. You ever have that feeling, you look up at the stars or just look at the chaos of the world around you, and you just feel tiny, insignificant? Like you're just a random accident in this massive, chaotic universe, adrift with no real purpose. It's a really common feeling today. Well, Ephesians chapter 1 comes along and puts this absolutely staggering idea on the table. It says, what if? What if behind all that chaos, there's actually a blueprint, an intentional, super detailed design for reality itself? And here's the kicker, the most radical part of it all, you. You have a specific named part to play in it. So where does a blueprint like that even begin? I mean, not with the Big Bang, not with the first star. According to this text, the plan was put in place by a divine architect before a single atom of our universe even existed. Just think about that timeline for a second. This isn't a plan B. It's not a reaction, like God was just fixing something that went wrong. This verse frames it as a proactive, foundational choice made way back in eternity past. Your existence was never an afterthought. It was a forethought. So the blueprint kind of lays out your foundation in 3 huge steps. First, you were chosen. And not just chosen yesterday, but before the world even began. Second, you were predestined. That just means you were set apart for a glorious divine purpose. And third, adopted, marked to be brought into his family. Not as an employee or a servant, but as a full-on son or daughter. Okay, so if that's the foundation, what's the whole structure built with? What materials did the architect use to make this plan a reality? Well, it's not stone or steel. It's something way more precious. Verses 7 and 8 tell us the blueprint is built with redemption and forgiveness. And both of those things flow from what the author calls the riches of God's grace. And I love that word he uses, lavished. It implies this extravagant, almost reckless generosity. This isn't about just barely getting by. It's about being absolutely flooded with divine favor and wisdom and understanding. Now, for centuries, the full scope of this plan, what verse 9 calls the mystery of his will, it was kind of kept under wraps. The ultimate goal, to bring total unity to everything in heaven and on earth, under Christ. And the claim here is that now, that secret is out. This grand unifying purpose has finally been made known. And now we get to the most personal part of the blueprint. And to really get what it's saying, we need a quick little masterclass on a single, really powerful Greek word. The word is kleronomia. Now, in the ancient world, this wasn't just some wishful thinking, like, oh, I hope I get an inheritance. A kleronomia was legally airtight. It was a guaranteed possession, something totally secured for you that could not be taken away. You could think of it like a divine trust fund, sealed and delivered. And this is where the whole chapter just explodes with meaning. See, verse 14 uses kleronomia in this incredible two-way street kind of way. On one hand, yeah, we have an inheritance from God, and the Holy Spirit is like the down payment, guaranteeing it. But then the author completely flips the script. He prays that we'd understand God's glorious inheritance in his people. So what does that mean? Get this. This is a total paradigm shift. The ultimate prize in this whole cosmic plan, it isn't something God gives to you. It is you. You, me, all believers around the world. We are what God considers his treasured possession. We are his kleronomia. But a blueprint is just a piece of paper if you don't have the power to actually build it. And a cosmic plan like this, it requires some serious cosmic power. The last section of this chapter explains the engine that drives this whole reality. The author prays that we would really grasp this, not just know it in our heads, but truly experience it. He calls it incomparably great power. This isn't some small boost of energy. It's a force that is beyond all earthly comparison, and it's right there, available for us who believe. So just how great is this power? Well, verse 20 gives us the ultimate benchmark. It's the exact same strength, the same dynamic force that God used to raise Jesus Christ from the dead. The power that literally reversed death itself is the power at work in the life of a believer. And that resurrection power didn't just bring Christ back to life, it seated him, as verses 21 and 22 say, far above all rule and authority, power and dominion. It established his absolute supremacy over everything, not just in this age, but in the age to come. This is the power that underwrites the entire blueprint. So we end with a pretty big question, don't we? If all this is true, if you're not a random accident but a chosen, adopted, and treasured part of a cosmic design powered by resurrection force, what does that change? How does knowing the architect's grand plan for the entire universe affect the small, daily blueprints you draw for your own life?